everybody, it's me, Wolfenstorm, aka Lisa, coming at you live from my special space. And today we are doing a review for Doctor Who Flux, aka Doctor Who Series 13, Episode 3, Once Upon Time. I would have liked to have done this yesterday, but I had to work, and I didn't get off until after the episode had aired, so I had to watch it when I came home. And then I needed a little bit of time to digest and think about it and figure out what my responses were going to be. So, that's really all that's going to be in the video, is just the review. I want to try and make this as quick, as concise as I can, even though the episode itself wasn't quick, nor was it concise. It was, again, very bing bang zoom, confusing, disjointed. But we'll get into that in just a minute. So just quick housekeeping. Please help me keep on keeping on by share, subscribe, smash the bell, so you can get updates on when I post videos. I usually, now that the season's active, I try to do that once a week. Also, there really isn't any other updates, David Tennant news so far. He's still in production, Good Omens Season 2 in the UK with that glorious man of red hair. We've got some production stills for Around the World in 80 Days. Nothing's changed so far as air dates. It's the same as what I said last week. And in the United States, it'll be January 2nd. In Germany, it'll be like last week of December. And still don't know anything about France and the UK just yet. So, now that the housekeeping's out the way, without further ado, let us get into it, peoples. Doctor Who Series 13, aka Doctor Who Flux, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Episode 3, Once Upon Time. So this takes up right where the second episode leaves off, where we don't know what's going to happen to Yaz and Vinder. Swarm is getting ready to snap his fingers to allow time to run through them and basically overwhelm and destroy their bodies, their very human and frail bodies. But at the last minute, the Doctor, after the huge amount of exposition dump, that's primarily what this episode is about. Exposition dumping. Okay. Exposition can be useful in bits and pieces, but only if it's in bits and pieces, and only if the actor who's doing the expositioning has a good script to work with and is a good actor. In this case, yeah, that's not happening. It's just a lot of Jodie doing this and this and this, chewing the scenery. I know what you're gonna say, but David Tennant had a huge gob, and so did Matt Smith, and oh my God, Peter Capaldi's speeches, but they were intrinsic to the plot. David Tennant's Doctor having the gob was a character trait of that particular incarnation, and Matt Smith's version having a bit of a gob also was a character trait because of his childish nature and needing to run off at the mouth because he was acting like a child. It was a character trait. With 13, she has no character traits. She hasn't developed any, so with her, it's just an annoyance. Because she's pretty much stealing it from them for no real reason other than, well, people think it's funny, so yeah, I'm going to do it. Big God, talk a lot, but say nothing. This is one of those cases of tell, not show. Talk, and not really saying much of anything. Everything that she said was going on with her mouth. They could have done visually and would have been would have had much more of an impact. Anyhow, so she grabs Dan at the last second and places herself and Dan on the two open spots where the broken Marai once were. And she basically initiates a time storm. And she throws Dan, Yaz, and Vinder back into their own time stream. She's trying to hide them in their own time stream because she figures if they are in their own time stream, then the Swarm and his Ravager buddies won't know where to look by her hiding them in plain sight. But she's having trouble keeping track of them because she keeps switching back and forth, and this whole episode is very switchy back and forthy. It's very much like the first episode, only much less coherent. Dan winds up in Liverpool, and he meets up with Diane, and she's like, hey, what happened? We were supposed to meet for coffee and you never showed up. And he tries to talk to her about it, and he's kind of flirting with her, and you can tell that he really likes her. Dan is very sweet. He's a very sweet guy. You can tell he has a big heart, and he wears it on his sleeve. He reveals to Diane when she asks him, why did you never get married? I mean, you're a real catch. And he says, well, about 15 years ago I was going to, and I really loved her a lot, but then just as we were, like a couple days before we were meant to get married, she dumped me. She said that she didn't want to get married. She couldn't imagine being tied to me for the rest of her life. And it really did a number on him to the point where I think it crushed his self-confidence. So that's kind of why he's been drifting a little bit for the past 15 or so years, because I think he feels like he's kind of worthless because of what she had done to him. So he's kind of just been drifting along, not really part of the world, just kind of existing. Apparently he never really got over that loss. So, don't want to mess up the vocal. So, right as they're talking, it shifts from daytime to nighttime. And they're in a different place entirely, and it looks very alien. And within a couple seconds, she's asking him for his help. Why did you not show up? Why did you let them take me? And he's like, what's going on? And then he turns around, and Swarm is there, and then Diane disappears. So, and then Dan disappears from that spot and winds up back in Liverpool, like near the docks or something. And he's confused about what's going on. And the doctor kind of shows up, but she's very, like, glitchy. And she's trying to tell him, don't move, stay where you are. I'm having a hard time pinning you all down. I had to do this to save your life. I put you in the heart of a time storm. And it's put you back into your own time stream, and you're reliving parts of your own life. Just don't move, and I'll do my best to keep you safe, and I'll find you. So we leave Dan, and then we pick up with Yaz, who shows up in Sheffield in a police cruiser with the doctor sitting next to her, but dressed in a policeman's outfit. And she's just jabbering on and on about nothing. And then she starts flickering out, and you see it switches between the doctor and a black woman who I suppose is meant to be Yaz's partner. And Yaz is like, what the fuck is going on? For some reason, she's a little more aware than Dan is, I guess. Maybe because she's been traveling with the doctor longer, I don't know. But she's trying to pin down what the hell is going on. And for a couple seconds there, the doctor's able to tell her she's in a time storm. Don't move. You're safe here. I will find you, blah, blah. But as soon as the doctor flickers out for the last time, a weeping angel appears in the rearview mirror behind her. And she looks out, and she didn't see anything, and she looks back in, and it's there again. And she's like, what the fuck? And then she blinks out of that and winds up in a living room. It looks like, okay, I don't know what this place is. We've never seen Yaz's apartment, if she even has one. It was intimated back in season 11 when she went to visit her parents that she might still live with him. I don't know. Or maybe it's the sister's apartment. I don't know. I just know her sister's there. They're playing a video game. Her sister's not really into video games, but she's doing it because she wants to impress a boy. And she figures that if she can master the video game and look cool, the guys will like her and she'll get laid. Whatever. Who cares? But Yaz has no idea what's going on because, according to her, this is not her apartment. It's not her place. This didn't happen the way that she remembers it. And then this is what she's trying to tell to the doctor. And then Weeping Angel appears on the screen. And she quits the game, but it's still there. And then she smashes the console and it disappears. Apparently, She's very adamant to the doctor that this is not the way that this memory happened. The details are wrong. The location is wrong. Something is not right. The doctor manages to figure out that the weeping angels have corrupted the time stream. Somehow they got themselves into the time storm. How? Don't know. Cause plot. Because, they got to set up for episode 4. And they've altered bits and pieces of everybody's time stream somehow. Trying to get to them somehow. How? Don't know. Cause plot. Anyway, Vinder is sent back. He's the only one that doesn't actually encounter a weeping angel, not till the very end, which is weird. He gets sent back to a memory of himself at this corporation far in the future that he works for. I still think, because of the interior of that outpost that looks so much like the Sanctuary base, that it might be Torchwood Archive in the future. It looks like that to me. And the fact it's called Outpost Rose. It's too coincidental. Anyway, they don't really discuss the name of whatever this thing is that he works for. But he's apparently just passed his training exams, and he's earned a spot, a highly coveted spot, as an attaché to a politician called the Serpent. Now, the person he's talking to, who is supposed to be his superior, is actually in the form of Yaz. And that person keeps blinking out. It goes from Yaz to an older white guy, and it's very weird. So he's reliving this memory. I don't know how Yaz manages to show up there. I mean, this didn't happen in any of the other, for the other two. It didn't happen for Yaz, and it didn't happen for Dan, so I don't know how she managed to show up in Vinder's memory at all, considering he barely knows her. So Vinder at first is really happy about getting this posting. Great, this would be a big deal for him. He could get a promotion, if he does well. So he goes off to his posting. But you can tell that in reliving this memory that he doesn't like it. Because it's a memory that he's not proud of. Something happened here which changed the course of his life, and it's something he doesn't want to relive. So we see him next wherever this great serpent lives. This great serpent is a politician. Very, very shady. Very shady. And Vinder is already starting to see this guy ain't right, and he wants to say something. But every time he even opens his mouth to breathe, the guy is down his neck. Very oppressive. For the BBC, who's trying to say that the show is about inclusion and equality, it's not really showing it much. Anyway, the guy, the serpent, tells him not to speak. He doesn't care about his opinions, blah, blah, blah. He's just there to serve. Wow, a little bit on the nose. Just a bit. Apparently the serpent is welcoming a group of dignitaries from another planet. He's trying to get them to sign a peace accord with them and a trade agreement, very important. And he doesn't want Vinder to fuck it up. But in this discussion, which, by the way, is recorded because by the constitution that Vinder follows and has signed and is loyal to, all political conversations have to be recorded for posterity. And in the middle of the conversation, the serpent asks Vinder to shut off the recorder. And he's like, I can't do that. I mean, it's illegal. It has to be recorded. He's like, shut it the fuck off right now. So Vinder, feeling like, I'm a grunt, I don't really have the power to say anything, turns it off. And the politician tries to force the dignitaries to get rid of his political opponents and also some family members that he kind of doesn't want around anymore. So yeah, Vinder sees this guy's not just shady, he's a murderer. And he doesn't like it at all. So when he gets back to the command, he has a decision to make. He can either shut his mouth and let things go as they are, or he can say something. Because he's loyal to the Constitution first and foremost, and because he feels like it's something bigger than himself, and that this guy is evil, he goes to his superior and he lodges a complaint. He says, look, this guy is crazy and he's going to kill people. He's shady. And all they seemed to care about was that Vinder didn't do his job appropriately. But he's like, I didn't sign a loyalty to a person. I signed a loyalty to the Constitution that we all signed and all pledged our faith to. Why would you? So as a result of this, Vinder, that's the reason why Vinder gets stationed on Outpost Rose. He pretty much gets exiled out there as a punishment. They don't say for how long. He's just stuck there, and apparently he's stuck there until the Flux comes. So he's allowed to send a message to whoever it is he needs to send it to, family or friend, loved one, I guess, to let them know where he's at and that he's alive. Now, in this episode, we get introduced to two new characters. Belle, a girl from the future, who we don't know hardly anything about. But in the course of the episode, we still don't know anything about, other than she's from the future, and her home was ravaged by the Flux, and she is on a mission of love to find her way back to her boyfriend, to her man. And she will do whatever she has to do it. Now, one thing that's confusing me about the after effects of the Flux. In the first episode, when we saw the Flux for the first time, it was literally a planet eater. Like, it ate whole worlds. In this episode, she starts out on the planet that she's from, that's been completely ravaged by the Flux, but the planet still exists. People are gone. There's only very few survivors left. Only a handful. And the planet has been devastated, but it still exists. Whereas in the first episode, it shows that once the Flux comes, you're done. Your planet will be eaten. There will be nothing left. No people, no nothing. Just a blank void where your planet used to be. So how in the hell does her planet manage to survive that? I'm kind of confused. And also the fact that she's from the future, the far future, means that this Flux doesn't just exist throughout space, it also exists throughout time, because it's affecting not only the Doctor's present, but also the future. And possibly the past as well. So she's trying to outrun whatever, there's these blue, bright light particle thingies, I guess leftovers of the Flux that hunt people down and just eat them, destroy them. The special effects for that particular piece looked very wonky at best. Looked like some sort of Adobe After Effects particle thing. It really wasn't a very effective explanation as to what the thing was or why it was doing what it was doing. But she stands there and watches as it eats a group of people who are trying to escape. With this very non-emotive, neutral look on her face, like, well, sucks to be them, but I'm still alive. Yeah. So she gets off planet, and she's on a ship, and she goes through the Dalek territory. Apparently, in her future, the galaxy, I guess, is divided up by sectors. Because the Daleks and the Cybermen have taken advantage of the damage the Flux has left behind. So there's one sector that's been taken over by the Daleks, and there's one sector that's been taken over by the Cybermen. She manages to make it through the Dalek sector by hiding somehow, because she's so Nifty, neato. Oh my God, nothing can take her down. And then she gets on a ship and she's traveling, and then she finds herself in the Cyberman sector, and the Cyberman board her ship, and they try to kill her. And she has these 2 blaster pistols, and she manages to take out an entire squadron of Cybermen on her own with 2 blaster pistols. Yeah. I'm feeling Mary Sue in this one. And it's not because of her race. Don't care. The fact that she managed to do this on her own. Did they miss like what the Cybermen are capable of? Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, Rise of the Cybermen. Virtually all the episodes with the Cybermen in them. But no, you can't put a good Mary Sue down. Not for nothing. So she manages to stop them, and she's basically on the ship by herself, and she's still traveling, communicating with her man via this emoji looking thing, this disc that has a bunch of emojis on it. I don't know what it does, what it's for, why it's there. Maybe it records messages or something. I don't know. But she keeps talking to him through it. We don't know who her guy is until the very end of the episode, and Vinder has to relive this memory that he doesn't like. Yaz has to relive a bunch of memories that don't make sense to her, and she keeps getting followed by weeping angels. And Dan has to relive some memories involving Diane, and then he comes to realize that Diane has been taken. So now the Doctor has also been thrown into the time storm because she initiated this whole thing. She wasn't supposed to go into one of her own memories, but she does. She manages to go into a memory that she's forgotten, that's been wiped. A memory of way, 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 way back. And she's back on planet Time with 3 other people who look like Yaz, Dan, and Vinder, but they're not Yaz, Dan, and Vinder. They're other people. As a matter of fact, Dan is actually Kavarian. The dog guy. So apparently this was her team when she was that version of herself, himself, whatever self. And they had come to raid the planet and stop the Ravagers, who are made up of Swarm, Azure, and Passenger, to stop them from messing with the Mirai and therefore messing with time. So they crash their way into the temple, and they come up against the Mirai. They come up against the Ravagers, and while they're making their way into the temple, the Doctor looks at a mirror and sees a reflection of herself, but it's not herself. It's the Ruth Doctor. The Ruth Doctor makes an appearance. Oh my God. And the Ruth Doctor tries to explain to her, you're remembering something that you forgot that was taken from you. This is a memory that I have, something that I did. So you better find a damn way out before you're stuck here. The Doctor really wants to remember this. This is kind of doubling down on the whole Division Timeless Child thing. I guess they're in between the Ravager plot with the Flux. They also have to deal with the Timeless Child Division stuff too. So she's carefully watching herself in this memory to try and figure out who she was and what she did and why. So she comes to find out that while they're in there to save the Mirai, the Ravagers already have a plan in place. The Passenger, that third person with that really cheap looking mask, is actually not a person. It's called Passenger for a reason. And boy, Chibnall really knows how to just steal some shit. According to Swarm, at least this version of Swarm, who is much buffer, bigger face, looks stronger, more muscled. Apparently while he was held captive, he lost a lot of weight. passenger is pretty much like a golem, a vessel, that a prison that allows them to hold people inside of it, souls inside of it. I don't know about you, but this sounds vaguely like, I don't know, Time Lord technology. It's not Time Lord, it's not literally Time Lord technology, but it does sound like Genesis Ark from fucking Doomsday! Yeah, Chibnall, boy, you're an asshole. You just can't figure some shit out for yourself, so you steal it from someone else. Oh, man, Russ will be having some fun with this. Anyhow, so they've got 5 different passengers, and there's people inside each one of these passengers. So they say if the doctor doesn't leave them alone, they're going to kill them by destroying the passengers. But the doctor's not going to let up, and they kill 3 of the passengers, leaving only 2. And the 2 passengers are on the altar where the Mirai once stood. Come to find out that those 2 passengers are actually infiltrators that the doctor and her team put there. And they actually have Mirai inside of them. So the doctor frees them from the passenger, and the Mirai take their place around the altar, and that stops the Ravagers from doing what they wanted to do. So they have to escape before they're fucked. So that's the end of the memory for her. She wants to stay and learn more, but the Mirai in the time storm, the big Mirai, keep telling her, you need to leave. You might have a better chance at sticking this out, but even as a Time Lord, your body is breaking down. You're being destroyed by this time storm. You need to get out. And she begs him, please, I need to see more, blah, 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 blah. Knowing that this will probably kill her, but she doesn't much care. She just wants to understand more about her past. But the Mirai are not down for that, and they thrust her out of the time storm and back in the present. So now everybody is back where they're supposed to be. Yaz and Vinder are finally free from being Mirai. And this is where we learn that the Ravagers, or Swarm, is not done with whatever his plan is. What's his plan? Don't know. It's not developed. But it is revealed that he has taken, or at least his sister, Azure, has taken Diane. And Dan is desperate to get her back. He thinks that she's in the temple, but what he's actually seeing is a projection of her, or wherever it was that they put her. And she's begging Dan to find her and blah, blah. So, the doctor assures that they will find her, but she's not in the temple. He needs to stop putting his life at risk, because if he tries to confront them, they'll just touch him and kill him. And that finally manages to calm him down. So they're trying to leave the temple. Yaz is yammering on and on about, why would you risk that? Why did you want to stay in there? Blah, blah, blah. And for the first time, I couldn't even believe it. For the first time, the 13th Doctor is like, Yaz, shut the fuck up. Get in the TARDIS, bitch. End of conversation. Like, she's that on edge. She didn't even want to talk to her. But the doctor assures Dan that they will find her. They will fix it. And but they also they got to drop Vinder off first, too. So everybody goes into the TARDIS. And Vinder's like, I don't know. It's weird. He knew that it was a TARDIS. As soon as he opened the doors, he looked in and he was like, oh my God, the doors are still on the fucking floor. The TARDIS is a mess. He knew that it was a TARDIS. I don't know how. Very few people even know what a TARDIS looks like. Or even what a TARDIS is. I get that he's from the future. But most people don't have the experience of being around Time Lords or even knowing what Time Lords are or that Time Lords even exist. So how the fuck he even knew that it was a TARDIS, beyond me. Don't know. Plot, I guess. Anyway, he's like, oh, I can finally get home to my beloved. Finally, I can get home. And while they're trying to, Vinder's on his own in the console room. Or is he with Yaz? And Dan and the doctor are off somewhere else. And then the Weeping Angels appear in the console room. How the fuck did they do that? Because I thought that the TARDIS was impenetrable. How the fuck did they just appear out of nowhere? Because normally when the Weeping Angels are somewhere, they've been there for a very long time and they become part of the zeitgeist. Like the angels that were in the episode Blink, they had been statues on that property for a very long time. They had become part of, the scenery. How they just showed up in the middle of the TARDIS out of nowhere, don't know, because plot, I guess. So they are trying to outwit the angels. They realize that the angels aren't exactly there corporeally. They're still blinking in and out, so they're not entirely there. The angel disappears. And then they bring Vinder home. Now, we recognize the planet that Vinder was on because it was the same planet that Belle was on that's been ravaged by the Flux. And she offers to let Vinder travel with them since there's nothing there for him to stay for. And he says, no, I'm here because I need to be here. There's someone I care about deeply that I need to find. So she says to him, if you ever need anything, she gives him, I guess, a communicator or something and says, if you need us, dial 0. We'll be here in a flash. And she and Dan and Yaz peace out. And Vinder just starts to walk around the ruins of what once was his planet. And he's just kind of sitting there looking at what's on the ground. And then we have a cut. The scene is like split, and on the other side of the screen is Belle sitting by a fire, and she's exposition dumping about the fact that she's pregnant and that she's hoping to get home to her boyfriend. Turns out to be Vinder. Vinder is her man, and she is having a baby. I don't think he knows about it. I know there's been some wild speculation that these two might be the Doctor's parents. Holy Jesus fuck. Just no. We are not meant to know the Doctor's background in that extensive detail. The Doctor is supposed to be a mystery. It should stay that way. I know that Chibnall is trying to tie up the timeless child thing. But if this is the way he does it, oh my Jesus. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the episode in a recap. Now, it was extremely disjointed. Back and forth. Lots of back and forth between Vinder and Dan and Yaz and the Doctor. All their memories all jumbled up. Then you have the Weeping Angels in Yaz's memories. Only Yaz's memories for some reason. Don't know. Because plot. And then you have Belle, who is pretty much supposed to be epic, perfect girl from the jump, but is not really all that developed. You don't know very much about her. You want to care about her, but it's kind of hard to because you're not giving you anything to work with. Just the fact that she is Vinder's girlfriend and she's pregnant. Okay. There's one thing Chibnall sucks at is character development. I know a lot of people have said, well, this might be difficult to follow because it was a very character-driven episode. Bullshit. The most you got for character-driven was probably the Doctor's memories. And if anybody says that she was being more doctory in this episode by threatening the Ravagers, please remember that she's actually reliving a past memory, supposedly. So all the words coming out of her mouth wasn't words that this incarnation of the Doctor spoke. It was actually words that the Ruth Doctor spoke, who, even though she absolutely does not fit within the Doctor's time frame, is by far a better portrayer of the Doctor. Even though her outfit is atrocious. Now, I will say that Swarm's makeup when he was the bigger, buffer Swarm looked a lot better. That looked a lot better. Since he thinned out and got real emaciated having been imprisoned, yeah, I like the bigger version of him better. The outfit looked better, more natural. The makeup looked better, less cheesy, less fake, less cheap. What can I say about Azure? She remains unchanged. Yeah. This episode was disjointed, somewhat confusing. It hopped around a lot. It was more set up, more introducing of characters, which, to be honest with you, not good. You have 6 episodes to tell this story. You are now halfway through and you're still introducing characters. You haven't moved the plot. This is bad. You're not going to have enough time to say what you want to say by the end. It's going to be like a shitstorm rolling downhill to get to the end of this thing. So my prediction ratings wise is probably going to be last week it was 3.94, something like that. I have a feeling it's probably going to be maybe 3.5-ish, somewhere there. And it's going to continue to drop as the weeks go on, because even the hardcore Chibnall fans and Jodie fans are looking at this going, okay, what? Yeah, very little of this is making much sense. Out of 10, I would probably give this 4.5. 5 if I was trying to be nice. But not really. It was okay. And that's, again, being nice. Next week's episode is going to have to do with the Weeping Angels. They wind up in 1967, and they are trying to deal with the Weeping Angels. And this will explain Claire's character, who we first saw in episode 1, and how she got where she went to. I don't know how that's going to figure into the overall plot. We'll see. But yeah, that is about it. There really isn't much I can say. Vinder, I think, could be a good character. He seems to have a very strict moral compass, and he feels to me like he has layers, a lot of layers, but because Chim only has 6 episodes to give him story, I think he's gonna be severely underused, which saddens me, because he seems like he's starting to be a decent character that I actually kind of like. Dan, this is one of those episodes where he was just meh. Not a lot to work with script-wise. Yeah, as they keep giving her more to do, and yet at the same time less, because she just does her plank thing like she always does. And Jodie, what can I say for Jodie? Same old, same old. Except this time, she talked my ear off with the exposition dumping. That's one thing I can't stand. Exposition dump. Talk. The first 5 minutes of the fucking episode was her talking incessantly about what they were doing and why, and how she was so nifty-neato, and my friends, whenever we go, we fight for peace and blah, 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 this and that, and yeah. I don't care. Seriously, shut the hell up. No one gives a shit. Certainly not the people you're talking to. Whoever the hell you were talking to. would say that this episode was kind of boring. But with Chibnall, and yes, this episode was written by Chibnall, that's par for the course. All right, well, that's it for the review. I will hit you guys back next week. I actually do have Sunday off next week, so I will try to get that review up for episode 4 as quick as I can. All right, guys, see you later. Peace out.
Good night.